the bump and run, the Bristol move.
That's aggressive, but that's good. Good hard racing.
Oh!
He puts him out of the groove there.
Oh, man!
Will he get the bumper? Yes, he does. Here comes Logano. Logano on the inside. A drag race. They're sideways. And it's going to be Logano getting the win.
The back end of the 18. Kick out.
Yeah, he got into it right there. Moved him out of the way. Just got the lead.
It's almost too early to be racing that hard for the lead, wasn't it?
Never too early to be racing for the lead.
At Bristol.
At Bristol.
Man, this is one of the biggest wins of my career.
It's the bump and run,
Baby!
Yeah, welcome to the Bump and Run podcast. I'm your host, Michael ZY, joined by my two best friends, Matt the Statman Reilly and Eric Daytona Ron. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Hope you guys had yourselves a Kyle Larson type of weekend. He was the big winner down in Richmond for the Toyota's Owners 400. And getting that monkey off his back, man, it's been a while, I feel like, since we saw Kyle Larson in victory lane, and he definitely earned that one. Him and I feel like William Byron, the two most dominant cars. Hendrick battling it out all day long. But fellas, before we get into the show, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all that jazz. Available every Monday night, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and more. And every Tuesday morning, YouTube. You can watch our beautiful faces. Fellas, how was your weekend, man?
It was good. It was good. Friday, I tore it up at the bar pretty good Friday.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
Tore it up pretty good at the bar on Saturday, too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the bar was closed on Sunday, so...
Yeah, well, I'm preparing for the upcoming weekend. You know what I mean? I have to, I have to prep the body for what's about to go down next weekend. So, I did some heavy boozing and watching the races. And I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed what I saw on track this weekend. Even out in Texas with the truck series out there.
Well, we'll tell the listeners, what are you doing this weekend that you have to prepare the body for?
Just Easter dinner with the family.
Yep, the family ain't going to see me on Easter, I'll tell you that, because I will be in Tennessee at the Bristol Dirt Race, baby. Second year in a row.
Oh, shit. Gonna watch the Easter festivities down in Bristol, Tennessee with the dirt.
Oh, yeah, they have a huge Sunday, service thing down there, too, and, it's a huge deal down there. I didn't realize it until last year when I was there. They have a huge thing on Sunday morning down there. So, the families, if that's your cup of tea, they have everything set up down there for you to enjoy the holiday weekend.
Oh, I didn't mean that for festivities. I just meant the dirt race. But
yeah,
they do an Easter morning worship ceremony and stuff in case you want to get that in before the race. What are you going to say, Matt?
Eric, I was going to say, man, fucking Jacksonville Jaguar great is going to be there. Tim Tebow.
Oh, God. Please, don't ever associate him with the Jaguars. Please. For too many years, I heard we need to bring the Florida kid back. It's going to be our savior. Oh, yeah. What's he doing? Is he going to do the sermon on Sunday? Yep.
He's there exactly why you think he's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So how about you, Matt? How was your weekend?
It was good. So I like Eric on Saturday, I got drunk, but mine was a surprise. Mine was a little oopsie drunk. Steph's friend from out of town was in, and so her and her fiance came over to see the baby, and he brought over graciously a case of Miller Lite, aluminum pints. So you don't just not drink what the guest brought over. That would be ignorant.
Yeah.
So I had no plans on drinking, but we started drinking, cracking them open. One thing led to another, and had a nice little night. Ended up watching WrestleMania.
I watched WrestleMania too. They had it on at the bar. Put it on, right? It was great, dude.
Yeah. So we had a nice little night.
Hey, so it sounds like a good weekend. I had a nice quiet weekend. I needed that. I did catch a little buzz on Saturday. We went to an Indian restaurant, and I was drinking Taj Mahal lager. And they don't come in regular sizes like we have. It came in pint plus 6 ounces. The bottle was gigantic, and I was feeling it by the time I left that restaurant. It was really good. I would 10 out of 10 suggest it. If you're ever in the mood for Indian food, there's a great spot in music I'll tell you guys about. But we have some NASCAR news to get to.
The Bump and Run NASCAR news.
Just two stories, and they're kind of continuations from last week. So Daniel Suarez has been fined $50,000 for his penalty or for his pit road incident at COTA. We expected a penalty. What do you guys think about just a $50,000 monetary fine? Too little, too much, just the perfect amount? What do you guys think?
Well, too little, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. All right. How about you, Matt? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I agree with Eric, and I won't leave it at that. What he did was pretty dangerous. You know, when we recorded last week, I hadn't really dissected the video as much as I should have. And I didn't notice that, like, there were a lot of NASCAR officials that were literally right there as he was slamming into to Bowman. And one little, you know, thank God Bowman had control. Now, yeah, granted, they were going slow on the track, right, or on pit road. But, you know, let's just say Bowman didn't have control of his wheel, or he lost control because something snapped when Suarez bumped into him. Now they're going into people, and you can't have that. You can't have that. That's like the heightened safety that we always talk about, that NASCAR always talks about. Like, that's it right there. Like, I don't know. I don't like suspending guys or doing any of that, but that might have been what he needed after doing something like that.
Yeah, I agree, man. I don't know about a suspension, but I think definitely like a points penalty should have been added into it. I know Ty Gibbs did a similar situation last year in the Xfinity series, and I believe he was docked points. I'm almost certain the monetary fine was double that. I think it was $100,000. I don't know if Matt, if you have the opportunity to look that up real quick, but
what was that? I'm sorry. Sorry.
What was the Ty Gibbs fine last year after Martinsville when he did a similar situation? Because I think it was double that. I think it was $100,000. But did he get fined points also?
I am searching right now.
Yeah.
So right here. So he was fined $15,000 for running into Sam Mayer's car on pit road. I don't know if he got points.
Okay. All right. Well, you want
to? My thing is, monetary fines aren't going to do anything, and that's kind of what
exactly hit him where it hurts.
What I agreed with after the Hendrick things got reversed. Like Larry Mack said, either you broke the rule or you didn't break the rule. You know what I mean? Like, they put that in place to deter you from messing with a part.
Yeah.
And the points is what matters. Like, so they basically said, okay, you did something wrong, give us some money. Like, I don't think that does anything. And I think the only way it affects is a suspension or points. So those are the only things that really affect a race team like that. And to me, that's just, it's not going to deter people. And that's why they had it in the rule book to begin with. And I think a lot of people are kind of curious as to how the rest of the season is going to go.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, to be honest with you. I think monetary fines do nothing. I think you have to hit them where it hurts in the points.
Yeah.
What'd you find, Matt?
So, no, it was everything that I can find. It was only $15,000, which, I mean, comparatively speaking, in the Xfinity series,
yeah.
I didn't find any points though, but yeah, you can't be doing that, man. Like, that's just like, if you want to handle something out on the racetrack, like, we can have that conversation. It's a different type of conversation in my mind because there's not pedestrians out on the racetrack. But once you bring it down to pit road, where there's crew members, there's media members, there's officials, there's all these fans after a race, family members, you know, there's all these people on pit road. You can't do that.
I just think at minimum, to even just be like funny about it, even if you want to go that way. How many times are we at the end of a season looking at that cutoff line and somebody blows it by 1 point?
2 points, 3 points. Oh yeah.
2 points.
For real.
Take 10 points off of Suarez. Take 5. It doesn't have to be this huge 100-point swings.
Dude,
No.
make it playoff points. Make it playoff points, not even points.
Make it something small because at the end, Suarez could be one of those drivers at the bottom fighting for that one little spot, 2 points, 3 points. And guess what? That dumb move will, be in his head next time being like, damn, if I never did that and they took 5 points or 10 points from me, that instance right there cost me a playoff spot. So I think at minimum, there has to be some kind of points.
I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree too. And like you said, it could be 5 points, 5 playoff points, just something like that.
It doesn't have to be huge.
No, I agree. Speaking of points penalties, Hendrick kind of won their appeals on Wednesday. The fines and suspensions were upheld, but their points have been returned. So what do you guys think about Hendrick getting all their points back, but still obviously Matt's throwing up the thumbs up. So
well, yeah, that's kind of my point why I said I'll leave it at that with the Suarez thing because of this. Like, I just don't get it. You know what I mean? Like, they're basically saying you broke the rules and like, did you break it or did you not break it? Right. I don't know at this point. You know what I mean? Because like they kept the suspensions of the crew chiefs, and it's like, so they obviously did something wrong to keep like I don't get it. I don't get it. Like the points, like I said, is that's where it hurts. So I mean, I like that the panel might have seen something that might benefit the drivers later on and gave NASCAR the big, the bird. And it's like, but at the same time, I still don't like the decision for just the reason of now there's a huge gray area. And it's like, what do you do from this point forward? They kind of broke the mold. And now that was in B strict, so you didn't do anything. And now there's a gray area. And the crew chiefs are going to they're going to do what they can.
Yeah.
So I'm usually like, when it comes to sports, there's like, it's always like player versus management when it comes to fines, when it comes to, how you should react for trades, things like that. And I'm always pro player in those situations. And I'm pro team here in this situation. I mean, take my Hendrick bias away from it. Anytime that NASCAR can get, like Eric said, the bird sent right back to him, like I'm cool with that, just because it shows teams like, hey, appeal, like there's a chance like they'll look into it and there's a chance that it'll get overturned if NASCAR maybe overstepped. Now, the thing that grinds my gears is that they don't release any of that information. The sanctioning body who ruled against NASCAR in this situation doesn't release their findings as to why they lessened the penalty against Hendrick. So that's my only request is like, why? And I mean, one could only assume maybe because they caught the louvers before Hendrick raced with them, so they didn't actually use them in competition, but they upheld the crew chief fines because they at least attempted to get away with it. That's what I'm surmising. But just like, why don't they just release that information? Like, why so cryptic? Why so secret? Just let us know. Like, it's stupid.
Yeah, I would just really like to know a justification for keeping half of the penalty and not the other.
Right.
And I even thought the same thing like you, Matt, where it's like, oh, maybe because they didn't race them, they didn't qualify them either. Because I was thinking about like other ones, and you take Petty GMS last year, right? Where Eric
you got $100 point. It was a fender that was damaged. They fixed it themselves. They didn't get it okayed by NASCAR before they put the fender back on. And they got busted for it.
Oh, I thought it was rocker boxes or whatever. Or was that Michael McDowell last year too?
It could have been. There was multiple teams that kind of tried fixing it. They didn't modify it beforehand. They were just like, hey, this is a part from another car. We don't have parts. We're gonna fix what we have.
Yeah.
And they just didn't get it okayed. I think everything was fine with the part. It's just they didn't go through with the process. And that's where with this one, it's like, same thing. You didn't go through the process. You modified the parts right then and there. I don't care if they were on the car or not. You went and I see, that's where I guess. Like, I don't know what the rule states. Because the rule is like, hey, do not modify a part. Well, what did they do? They modified a part. So the minute you go to modify a part, like, you're tinkering. That's the rule breaker. So now they're tier 1, 2, 3, all of that, like that hard-nosed stuff. We all talked about it. Do they have to change that now? Like, because basically this panel overruled the strict tier 1 that they
L1
implemented.
penalty. Yeah. I don't know, man. It fucking blows my mind. And that's kind of my gripe with the fans not having access to the rule book, where we can't even find any type of gray area in it because we don't know the actual rule, like where at least if you looked at it, you're like, oh, maybe I could see them justifying it because they didn't go through the regular process, but also they had this other document that said who knows what Hendrick, showed this appeals panel
to do this.
Yeah,
it's all speculation now. It's all just this. Now that loses trust. Now it's everything. Now every time something comes up, you're going to have this sour taste and you're going to have this one instance that's always going to get brought up. And NASCAR's going to have to deal with that, I guess. But, back to Matt's point, I'm pro team here. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna hate on Hendrick because they won. They went, they appealed it, they showed it, they won. Hey, good for them. Because I am pro team in this, because NASCAR is the top brass, and we all know how we feel about certain things that they do, how they do things. So, hey, yeah, for Team Hendrick, that's a win. I agree with Matt there for sure, but I do think it did open up a Pandora's box later.
Yes, it did. That's the problem. Now they've got to be careful because. But then again, NASCAR should still continue just doing what they're doing because it wasn't NASCAR that reversed the call. It was this panel. So the other thing too is and I guess for confidentiality reasons, I understand why, but I wish they would tell you who was on the panel.
I think they did. I think they named the panel.
Oh, did they? Do they? Okay.
Tell you who the panel is. Now, is the panel the same for every single appeal for the season?
It's not.
No, it's not. It changes every time, but they do announce who is going to be on the panel. If you look at some of the J-Ski articles from the process, you'll find names because someone tweeted at all of them and said I wonder if Rick Hendrick is dropping off some new Corvettes as we speak. And the one guy responded, he goes, I don't need a car from Hendrick and all this stuff. So at least he has some integrity and stuff like that. But even that, not having the same people on the panel is kind of, I don't like that either. You know what I mean?
Because there's no consistency.
Yeah.
Right. There's, I don't know. That's you're right, Whitey, too. Not knowing and not allowing us as fans and people that, do what we're doing here, podcasting, relaying information. It's kind of, it's weird.
Yeah, it kind of is. But you want to what?
Why? It's weird to me. Okay, just let us know. What?
Tell us why you.
Yeah,
tell us why you lessened the fine. Why? What are you hiding?
You know what we need? We need NASCAR span instead of C-SPAN, where we get just to watch the appeals process in live time, like a court proceeding when they do a vote in Congress.
I would 110% watch every appeal.
I would too, because I find it so fascinating, and we know barely anything about the whole entire process.
I have this picture, I know we're trying not to go in the weeds, but I have this picture of what I think it looks like, and it's like a courtroom in my head.
Yeah.
The appeals process is sitting up there, Denny Hamlin is in a suit.
They're all in suits. There's
next to him.
You want to know? It's because we're silly because I have that same exact thing where I'm they show up to court and the guys, they that's what they do. They do the whole, and in fact, my guy has a powdered wig on. It's the 1700s. It's George Washington. So, but let's move on to the weekend at hand. We had a triple header. We had a Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. And for the first time in the Truck Series, Carson Hocevar got his first career win in a messy finish in Texas. Did you guys catch any of the Texas race?
Yeah, that race at the end, trucks are trucks, when they go trucking, you know what I mean? It's going to be interesting. And the end was not what you wanted to see, but I was happy for Hocevar. How many second place runner-ups, and, I saw the stats afterward, how many laps led without a win, how many this, that, and, so good for him. He it was coming. So it's not like it was just some at the end, they all got caught up and he won it. But they were battling up front.
How do you feel about the wreck, though? Do you feel like he wrecked him, or was the car just wrecking in front of him regardless? Because I watched the clip a couple times and I really can't tell.
I was going to say the same thing, Whitey. Live, to me, it looked like
He wrecked
he
him.
didn't do it at all. To me, I
okay.
thought it looked like he didn't do it at all because it was just squirrely, getting out of. I'm like, okay, it's just part of it. But it's just one of those. You could call it either way. Like it wasn't. It didn't irritate me. You know what I mean? Like, oh, he did that for. It wasn't like an egregious.
Yeah.
It wasn't Denny Hamlin to JJ Yaley. You know what I mean?
No,
Like,
yeah.
like it wasn't that in my eyes, at least. But again, last lap for the win. I'm gonna allow that to go down. I guess that's just what they're doing and how they race. And who am I to say that they're not going to do it? Because that just seems like what's happening. I mean, what's his name even said that too? The Malcolm in the Middle dude.
Oh, Frankie Muniz. I saw that tweet.
The
I couldn't believe
Malcolm
it.
in the Middle, dude.
Yeah, Matt, did you see Frankie Muniz's tweet?
No.
All right.
The ball's on him, dude. I couldn't believe it.
Here.
Oh God, what did Malcolm say?
It's the truth. He's spitting facts.
Really? Okay. Let's take a poll here. Do you think I'm going to agree with what's about to be read to me?
Yes.
What's that?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. Let me find it. But Matt, what did you think about that move?
Same with Derek. Fair. It's fair. I don't know. It was a racing deal in my mind.
Right. You're all battling at the end there. I mean, it's all you got to think of it the truck series too. Like those guys, they're fighting, they're going, like they do that all race long. So like if you just catch that highlight at the end and think, oh my God, well, no, they were battling all race long, bumping and moving and dooring. So it's like, come the end of a race, there it is.
All right, so Frankie Muniz tweeted, again, famous actor from Malcolm in the Middle, running the full ARCA season, and honestly, I think he makes a point. He goes, quote, I watch all the NASCAR races I can to learn as much as possible. My takeaway is A, you don't want to be leading late because you might get wrecked, and B, if you're not leading late, you just wreck the people in front of you. I'll continue to race clean and hope for the best.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of shade throwing.
All right, Frankie.
A lot of shade throwing, but I'm going to say I can't see the lie in that statement,
Dude, I'm all here for a situation where like Nick Sanchez and Frankie Muniz end up throwing down on like pit road after a race one day.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. I would love to watch Frankie Muniz fight a young kid because he's like, no, for real. He's like, no, he's like 40 years old though, right? And he's racing up against a lot of 17-year-olds in the ARCA series and 18-year-olds
But they look exactly the same.
But they look
age.
exactly the same because Frankie Muniz still looks exactly the way he did. He just lost some hair.
He could get away with beating up a 17-year-old.
I'll tell you what, that's so funny. Oh my God. That Nick Sanchez in the truck series, like I think that dude's going to be a superstar.
Yeah.
Dude, did you see the stat line on that?
No.
He led the most laps ever. Even Kyle Busch never even led that amount of laps in a truck series race. Insane. I mean, sucks he didn't get the win out of it, but I did like that. That sucks, but
that's very deflating, to be honest with you. Moving on to the Xfinity Series race, though, Chandler Smith got his first win in the Xfinity Series at Richmond. A weekend of first-time winners in the lower series. You guys see in the Xfinity Series race?
I did not catch the Xfinity Series race. That was on before. I didn't realize it was on at 1:00, and I was out doing stuff, getting the camper ready for this weekend, and I did not catch the Xfinity Series race.
I caught the end.
I'm sorry, I'm crunching. I turned my mic off. I'm crunching on a throat lozenge for the people at home. I have a bit of a cold. I'm trying not to let it affect it. I'm sorry. It's calling the flow of the show right now.
Failed that one.
And then Kyle Larson led 4 times for 93 laps in the Cup Series. I didn't see the Xfinity Series race either. I'm sorry. Oh my God. It's just.
I will say, hey, shout out to Chandler Smith. Getting that first win, and also came in 18th on Sunday in his cup in the cup, and I think it was 13 car as well, right? Is he running that 13?
He's with Colleague, yeah.
Yeah.
But good Good on Chandler. I'm sorry. My rhythm's all thrown off. Sorry, guys.
That throat lozenge really kicked your ass.
It
man.
really did. You want to know why? Because I threw it in there. I thought it would be inconspicuous, and then I could hear the change in my voice. I'm like, oh, I got to chew this bad boy up real quick. So I threw the microphone on mute. I started chewing it up, and then you guys ran out of stuff to talk about. I'm like, oh, fuck, I can't do this. I've coughed about 1 million times throughout this podcast.
Mismanaged time, once again.
It really-
Mismanaged time.
You want to know what? Story of my life. Think I always have a little bit of extra time, and boom, time's up. Anyways, Kyle Larson led 4 times for 93 laps. We spent 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 37 seconds in Richmond. We saw 8 cautions for 54 laps, 22 lead changes among 11 different drivers. Your top 5, Kyle Larson, your boy Josh Berry in second, Matt Ross Chastain in third, Christopher Bell in fourth, and Kevin Harvick squeaking out top 5, even though he said his car was terrible all day long. Fellas, let's jump into the race grades.
It's our NASCAR weekend race grade.
And let's start with Matt. I think me and Matt have similar grades, and then we'll finish off with Eric. Matt, I want to hear what you have to say.
So, Whitey, I read your rundown, and a lot of what you had written down, I mirrored it because it's exactly how I felt. So me and you can maybe even just go back and forth here. I gave it a C+. So much like Phoenix, we probably saw Richmond's ceiling yesterday. And listen, a C+ is still a decent grade. Like, that was the story of my high school career, and I made it. So a C+ is great for Richmond. I feel like, here's the problem is, like, I dozed off a couple times.
Yeah.
Had a long Saturday night, an unplanned long Saturday night. So I was tired Sunday. So I did doze off a couple times in the first and second stage of the race. Ran out to grab some food even. So I wasn't in the right mindset that I should have been, but the race did heat up. So in the third stage, like we had a lot of racing going on, and then the different strategies made for an entertaining finish. So as far as Richmond goes, a C+ again, I think that's probably close to where the ceiling is. Maybe Eric, I know Eric out of the three of us paid the most attention. So I'm assuming that his grade is going to be a little bit higher than ours. So I'm very interested to see what he has to say, because Whitey, I know you had a similar race experience to me.
Yeah, so I gave it a C+, and I totally put the blame on myself because it seems I'm in the minority on social media. Like, usually after Richmond, I'm like, yeah, that sucked. I knew it was going to suck, and I go on social media, everyone says it sucks. But everyone really loved this race, and I think, like you too, I was a little tired. What kept happening, I don't have cable. I steal your password to log into the app. Usually, the last couple weeks we've been on Fox, so I haven't had to use it. This was the first week on FS1 in a while. And what happens on the app during commercials, if they don't have anything to play during that spot, they just put up a blank screen that says, we'll be back to programming. And what happened was I kept falling asleep when everything went silent. I was just tired. And then, because I enjoyed the first stage, I thought it was pretty interesting. Obviously, with the competition caution and stuff like that, we saw some real short runs and everything. I was like, oh, Hendrick's kind of running away with it, but it's still pretty interesting. And then, especially for Richmond. So I want to preface that one. And then what happened was I fell asleep. Matt, when you said you were going for food, I'm like, yeah, I'm checking out too. I'm taking a nap. So then during that whole second stage, kind of missed the long run cars of Joe Gibbs Racing, where apparently they were kind of coming back a little bit. And then I did wake up for the third stage, and I have to say the third stage was really good. So just on the third stage alone, I would give it a B if that's how the whole entire race was. So honestly, I kind of realized, I feel like Richmond kind of became a Darlington-esque type of race where you really do have to pay attention to all the different strategies, because we saw tire management, especially with those long green flag runs. We saw it bite a guy's ass in Martin Truex Jr. and being on those scuffs later on in the race. All the things that I would really enjoy in a race. if I wasn't already checked out, and it just happened to me. I could see it being actually a really good race, and I'm kind of disappointed because Richmond, Virginia, only about a 6-hour drive away. Kind of wish I went down to see it because I think it would have been a really good day at the track to see. So if it wasn't for me being a sleepy bear, it probably would have been an A. So now I'm kind of excited to hear what Eric had to say because, like you said, he definitely paid attention more than the two of us. So, Eric, what did you have?
Well, I'll tell you what. My girlfriend, she slept during the whole entire race as well, so don't feel too bad about that. I felt good. Like my hangover, it left me before noon, so I was ready to watch the racing, and I even texted you guys and said, "Hey," I said, we're gonna have a good one today, boys." And so I was kind of excited and ready to watch the race. So I saw everything I needed to see out of Richmond. I gave it an A. I loved it. It was, like you guys said, it was long run versus short run cars. You had, tire fall off. You had multiple grooves. Some of the lines that some of these drivers were running and arcing the turns.
Yeah.
Multiple people had different lines. And, towards the end of the race, some, spotters picked up on that. It was like, hey, he's arcing in. He's, try to move up a little bit higher. I know Logano was making it 3 wide every restart up high next to the wall. And it was just, there was constant racing, battles for the lead. I really, really enjoyed what I saw out of Richmond. There was pit road woes, with Denny Hamlin had a super fast car. And, it pit road, it burned quite a few drivers that were having great days. Blaney left a wrench in the deck lid in the back, had to come back through. And the pit crew member making a diving attempt to get it as he was leaving. That was awesome.
That was amazing. Yeah.
So, at the end of the race, too, we had, like you said, the strategies panning out where we knew Truex only had a set of scuffs with 6 laps on them. And if it went green, he was going to try to make it all. And, the 45 spinning late, that threw everything for a loop there. We were about to see those tire fall off strategies play out at the end. And that is the only thing that I guess I could say that kind of took me out of it at the end there was you just know cautions are going to breed cautions. And the 24 who I had to pick to win the race, obviously he got moved out of the way at the end there and by Christopher Bell. And that was just sad to see that at the end of the race, the 24 going around. And I didn't really like seeing that at the end, but it was still exciting. It was still entertaining. It made for a good finish. But when you're watching it all day long to see one of those guys' days get ruined, just like the Hocevar and Sanchez thing, where it's like, man, you just feel bad for that guy dominating and not getting the win. But there were other dominant cars besides the 24 and 5 out there. Like you said, the 20, the 11, they were great too. 19 had a good car. I saw everything I needed to see out of that race. And, I guess you could say this was the least amount of downforce that was in these cars since I think the early 2000s, they said. Yeah. And man, the drivers in car were just, I can't get a handle on it. I need to do this, try to do that better. The lines would make the car, handle a little bit better. And I was, I guess, a little bit more focused on the race as well for a different reason. EJ and Gregson off the hauler, they should have just packed up and left. They didn't even show up. Whatever setup they had, they just didn't even show up, which early knew that was going to happen. I didn't even let that bother me. I'm like, okay, let me focus on the race itself now.
Yeah.
Since my driver kind of really wasn't in it, So I did. I really enjoyed that race. Man, I wish you guys were, a little bit better condition to watch it because just like, the beginning of last year, this was up there with everything you wanted to see in a race. And for once, there was racing and battling all over the racetrack and especially up front for the lead. So, Richmond, it surprised me. And it got an A out of me.
Yeah, you make a great point too about the multiple grooves. I put that in my race grade and I forgot to mention it because I just kind of didn't read off of it. But like that was surprising to me. And it made me wonder, do you think that was because of the new package, or maybe it was like a lack of practice where guys couldn't really tune on their cars, so they kind of had to kind of figure out where their car best felt, like one of those deals?
That's exactly what it was. Hey, like all the crew chiefs told their drivers, go as hard as you can in those first 30 laps before that competition caution. They want to know tire fall off. They want to know what the car's doing, where you could put it. And hey, just last for these first 30 laps, what they were told. And certain drivers, hey, their car, they came off the hall, they're great. Others, not so much. And I think practice definitely hurt a ton of teams.
I think so too.
In Richmond.
You look at Ricky Stenhouse Jr., they had problems early on. Eventually they got into the garage and fixed everything and put him back out. I thought we were going to talk about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming in last today, but we were not later on in the podcast. And then, a lot of guys like, who knows what was going on with Denny Hamlin and his speeding penalties and stuff. Maybe it was something with the way they set their dash on pit road. And if they had practice, they probably could have fixed that earlier on too. Like a lot of little things.
Well, I did notice too, like in the beginning of the race before like the adjustments were happening, a lot of the drivers were downshifting and shifting throughout the race. And halfway through, maybe a little after halfway, they stopped shifting. So that is one thing that the drivers were doing to utilize what they had in their, inside their car. What could you do to get around the track and make speed? And before the adjustments could happen, and it was downshifting and shifting around Richmond, which I think it was William Byron asked his crew chief if Larson was still shifting, and he said no.
Yeah.
He stopped, and then that's when he did the same thing. That's when they were battling to try to catch him because they were playing cat and mouse.
Yeah.
So he wanted to know, is Larson shifting? Because if he's shifting, well, I'm going to shift to stay with him. If not, vice versa, maybe I could get something on him. And it was just all day long. Little things like that is what made it so interesting. And I have to shout out the app too, like for the scanners, that played a big role too. I'll tell any listener out there now, it's worth whatever it is, the $4.99.
Literally $4.99 a month, man. It's so worth it.
Because you learn, you could, even if it's not your driver's radio, if something's happening with Ricky Stenhouse, you could listen to his crew chief. You could, blah, 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 this is going on.
You could choose any driver in the field. Yeah.
It makes it so much more informative, and because we know how the booth gets where they don't cover everything. And, when your driver's running 30th all day long, they're never going to tell you what's wrong with his car. So you got to kind of seek that out yourself as a fan. And, man, I just think I had fun watching it this weekend. I really did.
That reminds me, I want to say I felt terrible that Tyler Reddick brought out that caution because I wanted to see how it was going to play out if it went green. But so he talked about it today on Sirius XM, and I found this interesting. So he said he spun himself out because if he didn't, he was about to wreck Harvick. He was that loose or whatever coming into a turn. He was
underneath them.
Yeah.
He was underneath them, and he said, "No, I'm sliding up the racetrack, and
I'm just going.
I cut the wheel left, and I turn myself, or I slide up and I get into him, and cause maybe 4 or 5 cars to be."
Dude, I'll tell you what, man, that says something about the man and the driver that he is, because anyone else, would have said, "Screw it, whatever happens." But he decided to sacrifice himself over, the rest of the competition around him. That's going to win him a lot of points in the future on the track.
Oh, yeah.
Right. When you're having a bad day, what are you fighting him for? You know what I mean? Like, come on, Harvick's got a top 5 car, and you're, in the beginning, he was up there, Reddick, in the top 5, and then they just did not have the long run car.
No, they had a terrible car. I just thought that was interesting. Honestly, I was like, I wonder how often that happens where like it's just a guy trying to avoid hitting another guy and not fucking up his day, But
Reddick had an average running position of 16th too, which surprises me because I felt like he was up front a lot. I had him on one of my fantasy lineups, so I felt like.
And then after the adjustments, the first stage,
he just fell
everyone
back.
got their cars underneath them, and there was just a group that didn't. They just could not get the handle.
Yeah.
At one point, he got himself trapped 2 laps down too, so he had a lot to battle for. Like even after the spin or whatever, I think they came in, and then I think he took a wave around on the next caution when just to get back on the lead lap. So like his day was a real big mess. But let's jump into the checkers and wreckers.
3 wide for the lead. 1 lap to go.
It's this week's checkers and wreckers.
All right, since we started with me and Matt for the race grades, let's start with Eric for the checkers and wreckers. Eric, what's your checkers for the weekend?
All right, my checkers goes to Ty Gibbs.
Yeah, I
surprising the absolute shit out of me, out of everybody, and this goes to show where that program is at versus where LMC is at, because Gragson and Ty Gibbs both had about the same amount of time in a cup car last year in fill-ins and trying to get some seat time.
Oh yeah.
So this year, drastic difference between Ty Gibbs and Noah Gragson, and that just goes to show how much LMC is struggling, which they are my wreckers. They just are not clicking at all. And that goes to show it right there. Ty Gibbs and Gragson, I would put them talent level close to one another.
Pretty
Xfinity,
similar, yeah.
Those are battling. They have the same amount of experience in a new next-gen cup car. I thought, they would be battling. There'd be a great battle between those two for Rookie of the Year. And, right now it just seems like it's not necessarily the driver doing better. I think it's the team. And that's why I'm wrecking LMC. We came off that hauler with 0 speed in our car. And that's what Eric has been complaining about in the last couple of weeks. He goes, the handling is good. We could roll through the corners like where we have them there, but like the straightaway speed, we just don't have it. And like they are struggling. And I have to bring it up. The old tinfoil hat, baby, because
I'm glad you are, because I have the same one.
Is this the curse?
It's the curse of the king. Yeah.
It's got to be the curse of the king, because they got rid of bring back the baby blue, bring back the orange 43 on the top. Come on, what are you doing? The gold, the turquoise, the black, it ain't working over at LMC. Bring back STP, bring back the baby blue. It is not working. We need to do a complete change up. Now, also, we talk about being, superstitious, this and that. I did today just get my new this year gear. So maybe this is what I needed. Maybe I needed to get the new merch in, start wearing the new gear, and maybe it'll, I don't know, give them something, because, man, if that race sucked yesterday, y'all would have found me floating in the Susquehanna, because the only thing that saved me was good racing, because LMC let me down.
Eric, I want to say, too, that I'm happy that you gave Ty Gibbs the checkers on Easter week.
Right? I figured it fit.
Here's the thing, fellas. The devil's here. Why do you think Richard Petty won 200 races throughout his career? He made a deal with the devil, and you know what happens when you take the king's name off the race team? The devil gets fucking mad.
I think, dude, it's gotta be. Like, that's, at this point, it's either the curse of the king or Jimmy was nothing but a distraction at this point.
Yeah, for real.
Those are the two things, because everyone, even me included, hooping and hollering, Jimmy Johnson, great, 2-7 times, blah, 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 all this knowledge.
He's going to have so much.
No, you guys are overthinking this, man. You know why they're sucking this year? Because they went with Legacy Motorsports as their name. When
it's not even Motorsports, it's Motor Club.
When they had a layup of a name, 7-time promotions, STP.
Oh my God, it would have been perfect. Nope.
I've been banging this drum for 5 months now. Like, they had a layup of a name sitting right there. Would have made perfect sense. Legacy Motor Club instead.
I liked Petty GMS just fine. I thought it was fantastic. And I feel like it. I wrote it in my notes too, Eric. We are seeing the all-time great curse of the king. That's no tinfoil hat, brother. I think that's just what happens when you kick a guy in his goat out of your stadium. It's what happens when you trade the great Bambino. It might be another 100 years before the 43 is back in victory lane, and we have no one but to blame but Jimmy Johnson. It's a pure fact. It's a fact.
Right.
He fucked around and he found out. You never get rid of Petty Blue. You never get rid of the red numbers on top of the car.
And you know what? I know we said there's not a lot of silly season stuff, but since I'm an Erik Jones fan, I see a lot of the stuff on social media about him, rumors, whirlwind, and everyone with the way this season's going, like Stuart Haas, everyone thinks he's going to jump ship.
So someone's got to fill that 4 car. Why not? Right? Why not get all 3 manufacturers under his belt in his short career so far? You know,
bring me back to Ford. Come on, please.
Let's go. How about you, Matt? What's your checkers and wreckers for the weekend?
So, just Homer alert pick right here. So it's got to go to the 9 team. Yeah. It's got to go to Josh Berry. Interim crew chief Tom Gray, along with Alan Gustafson from the beer tent outside the racetrack, put together a solid strategy that was met with, obviously it was met with some great luck that put Josh in prime position to go and try to steal a win at the end of the race. Because of an untimely caution that happened, and then him in the 9 and the 34 staying out as long as possible. Rarely do you see that strategy pay off. Well, it worked yesterday.
So are you sending Whitey any kind of gift basket or anything for how everything went down? Because
I'm sending him a bagel basket.
Bagel basket. Appreciate that.
Everything bagels. But yeah, the reason why I'm not just giving my checkers to the 2 crew chiefs and their strategies, but I'm also giving it to Josh is because, the crew chiefs and the strategy might have put him in position there, but he held on to that thing and he held on to second position. They had a handful of laps to go after that restart. And he had a bunch of piranhas around him that could have just jumped on him and eaten him alive. But he held that thing out there and Larson was gone, but that's okay. Just seeing him out there and just seeing him being able to hang with the big dogs there just really, really made me excited for whatever happens in Josh Berry's future. It's no secret now that you guys know, I'm a huge, huge Josh Berry fan. To the point where I've said publicly that if he jumps up to Cup full time, I'm going to have a real dilemma on my hands as to my rooting interests. But it was just really great to see him pull that second place finish out. And, the industry seemed to be really proud of him as well. So it was really cool to see.
Absolutely. And, Junior keeps talking about forming a Cup team. In fact, apparently him and Jimmy Johnson were supposed to do it before Jimmy went and did his own thing with the whole legacy deal. Maybe that's another piece of this whole entire pie where Jimmy fucked over his friend trying to buy a charter and now he's getting a little
you don't mess with the Earnhardts.
karma.
So he messed with the Earnhardts and the Petties simultaneously. You don't do that in the NASCAR world. The NASCAR gods will come get you.
And just connecting dots here, how many years are you jinxed for if you break a mirror? 7 years of bad luck.
7.
It's 7 years of bad luck. How many championships do each one of those guys have? 7.
4.
Man, all right. Thanks for you fucking ass.
Hey, I'll tell you what. I own a black cat, so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe all that's like a reverse.
Do we know a witch? Do we know a witch? We need to get.
I know some spooky people. I don't know about a witch.
I got a few. I know a few.
All right,
let's get them to say a seance.
Yeah, we need a
what
seance.
Was that word that Whitey used
car.
Twice last year?
If I'm not here after Easter Sunday in Bristol, Tennessee, you know I found a witch down there somewhere in the mountains, and I didn't make it home, boys.
Some might call that a witch hunt.
I'll sell my soul to the devil for Erik Jones and Noah Gragson.
All right, fellas. Matt, what's your records for the weekend?
So my records goes to me. I gave up on that race pretty early on, and shame on me. I wish I didn't. Like I said, at one point I even left with my wife to go pick up dinner, and I was watching it on my phone. She was driving. I was watching it on my phone, and it seemed like as soon as I left to go pick up food, like the race started getting good.
I was gonna say that as soon as you texted that, and I'm like, oh man, because like right after that, everything just started heating up.
It started getting good, and I was watching it, and I was like, why did I leave? Like what? Like maybe like Eric said, like we're all superstitious. I'm only in superstitious in like my sports world, like in only the sports realm of my life am I super superstitious. And I was like, maybe I just needed to leave my couch. I just needed to leave the house in order for this race to get good. Mm-hmm. But I gave up on the race too early. The third stage was great. It ended up being a good race. And so shame on me. It's just Richmond's recent past hasn't been fun or really entertaining. And we've been vocal about that on this podcast, but it was a good race yesterday. It was. And so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, man, me and you kind of same page with our checkers and wreckers. I will wreck myself because I have no one to blame but myself for not enjoying that race. But like you said, when you sent that text message, that was my key. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to take a nap too. Fuck this race. I had given up on it just at that point too. But my checkers goes to Hendrick and their replacement crew chiefs. Obviously, the regular crew chiefs are still working outside the track, but we're on week 3 of Hendrick crew chief suspensions, and the Hendrick cars haven't missed a step at all. Every single one of them. All of the cars just hitting on all 8 right now, and Chevy dominance continues this season. Right now, we only have 2 non-Chevy winners. It was one Ford and Joey Logano, one Toyota in Tyler Reddick, and a lot of it's Hendrick already winning really quick. So still waiting on that Alex Bowman win. And then my wreckers, obviously myself, but I gave it to Harrison Burton at first. He just seemed to pop up a lot in unfortunate situations, either holding up the leaders or getting in the way of a battle. Like it seemed like he didn't know where to put his car as they were approaching him.
I will say this. I saw it when you wrote that down.
Yeah.
He was, but it was unfortunate for him. It was fighting for the lucky dog.
Staying on the lead lap and stuff.
Yeah, so like he was trying to stay on the lead lap, and it's like you only do that for so long, you know what I mean? And it's like it wasn't just like one car he was holding up. He was holding multiple cars up, and actually he allowed a couple passes for the lead to happen because he was holding them up.
Which does create for some interesting racing too. And you know what? I think it was a great paint scheme too. So I enjoyed seeing it on television. I thought it was a really neat take. And someone pointed out, anytime Menards gets rid of the yellow and does something different, they come up with some really cool schemes. Look up the Menards Quaker State scheme from a couple of years ago. It's fucking badass. Also, I have to give an honorary records to Christopher Bell. I don't know what that move was at the end. Ruined William Byron's day. It kind of sucks. I did think it was funny. He blamed it on Ross Chastain without even seeing it. He did take that back and apologize to William Byron. He did not apologize to Ross Chastain though. But going over some notes, of course, we talked about Josh Berry. He led once for 10 laps, got himself a second place finish due to some different pit strategy and whatnot. Staying out real late, waiting for that green or that caution flag.
That paint scheme is awesome,
isn't it? Isn't that a cool paint scheme?
Yeah.
Right? It's for Dutch Boy Paint. I love when they show all the different colors of a paint scheme.
It's the green and gold, and I think we have like an affinity to that. Maybe that's why. But like
the Quaker State one, yeah.
Car this weekend was gorgeous.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. Yep. Just a great combination. Same thing with what racetrack is it? Kentucky with the green walls and stuff. Like I just think that's a real sharp look. Let's see. Third place, Ross Chastain. He led once for 16 laps. He was always kind of in the top 5, but I didn't feel like he was in the mix for the win at all. Christopher Bell, he got 4th, led 3 times for 26 laps, had a really great long run car. Just didn't get a chance to show it off at the end. I think he could have won that race. Another guy I thought could have won the race, Martin Truex Jr. came in 11th, had a great car. Unfortunately, they were on a weird tire strategy. They had used the set earlier on, but I would have liked to see what would happen if that yellow didn't come out.
You hear the radioactive? after the race
where they were
with him and his
screaming
crew
at
chief?
each other, dude. You want to what?
Who was?
Truex
Martin
and-
Truex
and-
Jr.
Yeah, 'cause,
And
like,
who?
His crew chief. I forget his
Oh,
name.
no shit. Martin's gotten snippy with his crew chief a couple times.
well, they didn't tell him they put on 6-lap old tires. He thought he was on stickers. And he's like, what's happening with my car right now? And he said, don't worry about it. Just keep going. Like, he didn't let him know, like, that he was on old tire. And it was just a whole big, like, miscommunication.
Oh, dude, that's a big time trust issue that they're gonna have to work out, because if Martin thinks that he's on old tires in future races, like that's not good. That's a bigger problem than I think anyone's
He
making
thought he
it
had
out
4
to be.
flat tires, right? Wasn't that what he said? He's like, I think I got flats. I think they're flat.
Yeah,
And they're like, no,
something
they're
along
just,
those lines.
they're old. They have 6 laps on them already, guy.
I tell you what, I've heard some team communications between him and what's his name, James Small.
James Small.
And like they always just seem at ends with each other. Like they don't get along, at least, excuse me, on the radio. I don't know if it goes deeper than that. All I know is the guy hasn't been the same since Cole Pern retired.
I was just gonna say the worst thing for Martin Truex Jr.'s career is Cole Pern leaving as a crew chief. Those two were so good together, and Cole Pern was just a fantastic crew chief.
He really was. And this is just one of those things you hear, like, man, like I've heard them fight a lot, and this one was bad. Where he's like, why didn't you tell me? He goes, his crew chief, this was a quote. He goes, well, we were fucked anyways, so I figured why tell you? You know, at least warn the guy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a driver. I'm not a crew chief.
Trust
But
in your crew chief, that's not good at all. I'm telling you, that's a bigger story. I'm staying away from Martin Truex in fantasy.
yeah, I don't blame you there. Another guy I thought had a great car all day long, could have won the race, just got in his own way. Denny Hamlin in 20th place. Multiple speeding penalties. He led 3 times for 71 laps and finished in 20th due to his own pit crew. What do you guys think about Denny's performance all day?
Denny, great on the racetrack. Besides the Reilly thing, which Denny, you're an idiot, dude. You talked all week about respect, all week about this, all week about that. You're bitching, blah 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 blah.
You just got popped. You just got popped by NASCAR for intentionally wrecking someone.
So, like, I think he had a great car. I think he was able to, you know, obviously win stage 2 and be up front for a lot of that race. But man, pit road woes again. It just seems like
Dude, that's been his whole career, man.
Yeah. And it's like another instance where a guy went over the wall that was not a pit crew guy, no helmet on, like no suit, nothing, to grab a tire or something again in one of the stops. And it didn't get much attention because they had to rejack the car up and get the right front secured again. So I think that took a lot of the focus, not of the crew guy over the wall. But yeah, pit road was just a disaster for Denny.
Are you sure? I thought that was Bubba Wallace's crew that had that one. Where the guy.
I hope it wasn't Bubba Wallace's crew, because the big man was at the race.
They showed the inside view of Denny, and he was like, "Come on, what the hell?" Like he was.
Well, yeah, no, that was when they had to rejack it up because they didn't get it all the way on. I think Bubba lost a wheel. It went rolling, and then the crew member fell off because he wasn't a regular crew member. He was just a regular guy. I have to go back and double check on that. But
yeah, because he was wearing a red shirt. I think the guy that went over the wall to grab it. Yeah,
Dude, imagine being that guy, knowing that Michael Jordan, your boss,
sitting right above your head,
right behind you. Like, that's got to be a gut wrenching feeling.
Oh yeah, and that screwed his day too. So like, I don't know, just a rough day for Toyota in general, kind of. And then a rough day for William Byron. He finished 24th. He dominated much of the day though, leading 4 times for 117 laps. Unfortunately, just got turned on that last restart from Christopher Bell. And it is what it is. But do you guys have anything else to add to the race other than that? Those are the players that really stuck in my head.
Only thing that I could really say is oh man, was I a year off? Brad Keselowski still just having an incredible season this year. And like after this, like he has, I think this is his 4th top 10 this year, and it took him till like Loudon 20 weeks in to get his first like top 10. So he already has 3 or 4 this year. And, I saw another, and he is number 4 as far as like most laps in the top 15. So it's not just 1 or 2 races here. He's been consistently running in that top 10, top 15 this year. I know I saw another team that hit too, Front Row. I think hit back-to-back top 15 weeks for them. So good. We're seeing a little bit of the parity with some of these smaller teams having good runs at certain tracks this year. Not as much as we did last year. But then again, the tire situation isn't there. But you see what happens when you have a couple random cautions at Richmond that you would have had last year with the blowouts that made the race better and a little bit more interesting. So, I think just Front Row and Keselowski, I think those are the two that I noticed had good days.
Dude, just to piggyback off of Eric for a second for Keselowski, just looking, I mean, he's got, like Eric said, he's got 3 top 10s, a top 5. He's got 2 DNFs, and he's still sitting 10th in points right now. So, I mean, just having a great rebound season. I mean, remember a year ago, too, he had that 100-point penalty, which really buried him, too, and he just never rebounded from it. So, good for Brad. I mean, I think we all turned the corner about a year or 2 ago on kind of, becoming a Brad fan.
And to piggyback furthermore for the Michael McDowell piece, him and Josh Berry were on that similar strategy. And I thought it was funny, Eric, you said in our group chat this morning, you're like, they went with the strategy everyone tries and it never works out for them. And it finally worked out for those two.
Yeah. Matt said that today. Yeah. It never worked out.
No, it doesn't. I'm sorry, Matt. I forgot you said it, but it's like that strategy never works out. We see how many times those guys will try it. And this was the one time. So it was really good to see. And I like seeing Front Row, run well too, after that Daytona 500 win, it seems like they invested the money. It seems like the partners really like them. Like Love's Travel Stops loves Michael McDowell. They put him all over the place. If you ever stop into a Love's, you're seeing Daytona 500 championship shit. Like I think it is really good for the sport when a team like that does well. And I'm glad to see that they're continuing kind of just where they left off last year. And same with Brad Keselowski and RFK. Like they were showing shades of this in the playoffs. They just weren't in the playoffs, So glad to see they're still rebounding. Unlike, we talked about it earlier, fucking Petty GMS Legacy Motor Club. Like, come on, you gotta get it together.
Dude, you know what else too? And then we can move on is Ricky, man. He was having a top 5 run and his car just fell apart on him. That sucked to see. Yeah, and they said it on the broadcast too. If we had practice, they would have found whatever that was. And he was just having a really great run and just shit the bed.
Did you guys see the video of the crew guy? He had the back tire off and he just gets sprayed in the face with hot brake fluid coming out of the brake rotor or the calipers. Yeah,
I didn't see that.
You can see him. He just the steam sprays in his face with like brake fluid, and he's like, "Oh fuck," Just felt terrible for Ricky. But I thought we would be talking about Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in this segment here on the Bump and Run podcast. Everyone loves to talk about the winner, Kyle Larson, on a Monday, but we also like to talk about the guy who came in last place, and it wasn't Ricky Stenhouse Jr. because he made it back onto the track after he got everything fixed up. In fact, it was Noah Gragson, wrecked out on lap 303 and couldn't continue. And I wrote in the notes, the curse of the king, ? Tinfoil hat. We already covered it. I think we have a good argument. The king, man, you got to bring back the petty blue. Something's got to be done over at Legacy. But moving on, we have a pickle lane for you. Can we label this new package a success? Is it still too early? We saw the best Phoenix race we've seen in a while. Still wasn't that great. We've seen the best Richmond race we've seen in a while. Still pretty good. We saw a great Coda race, all where they've used this new short track package. What do you guys think? Can you call it a success at this point?
I'm close to calling it a success, but I need to see what happens at Martinsville in 2 weeks because Martinsville is the top 5. I think a couple years ago, we all ranked our tracks, and Martinsville was in all of our top fives. And last year, the 2 races there just stunk.
Yeah.
So I need to see what happens at Martinsville before I say anything, because obviously this week with the dirt race at Bristol, it doesn't count, even though it is a short track, they're not running that package. So I need to see what happens at Martinsville in 2 weeks. But I'm dangerously close to saying, like, boys, NASCAR finally got something right with one of these packages.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree. I think what it does is it basically shows that Phoenix is absolutely garbage and nothing can be done to fix it. Like it's
tear it down.
It is what it is.
On that note, I think we could all agree Phoenix sucks.
Marty, you've got to come back with me. Where?
The next NASCAR Cup race. It's the weekend preview.
And we're getting down and dirty in Tennessee. Eric's heading down there. So if you see him in person, if you're down there, say hi. We got trucks on track 8 p.m. on Saturday on FS1 for the Weather Guard truck race on dirt. And then Sunday, we have Cup on track 7 p.m. on Fox for the Food City dirt race. First practice for Cup is going to be Friday night, 6:35. Final practice is going to be at 8:32. That's on FS1. And then Saturday night, we have qualifying heat races, 6 p.m. Saturday night qualifying heat races on FS2. If you don't get FS2 in your cable package, but you have FS1, log in on the Fox Sports app with your cable provider, and I'm almost certain you'll be able to watch them on FS2. I've been able to watch all this stuff on FS2, even though Matt doesn't subscribe to FS2 in his cable package. But 6 p.m. qualifying race heat 1, 6:15 race 2, 6:30 race 3, and 6:45 qualifying race number 4. Again, that is Saturday night, 6 p.m. starting on FS2. And boys, we got some picks to go over from Richmond. Matt, you were the big winner. You picked Kevin Harvick to win. He didn't win, but he got you a top 5 and he got you a lot of points. He got you 41 points. I picked Alex Bowman. He also didn't win, but he got me 37 points. And Eric, William Byron was on his way to winning. You picked William Byron. Unfortunately, Christopher Bell took him out, and he got you 31 points. So that means, Eric, you get to pick your dirt winner first. I pick second, and Matt picks last. Again, I'm assuming DraftKings hasn't given us the numbers because we record kind of early on a Monday, and yeah, they're just not out there. So, Eric, who do you have in mind to win Bristol Dirt?
It's kind of, it's a toss-up. I don't know what the track's going to be like. Last year it had some character to it. I don't think necessarily you have to go dirt guys because Joey Logano showed that you don't have to be a dirt guy. I think you just got to stick with the hot hands, no matter if it's on dirt, on a road course, on a short track, super speedway, you got to go with the hot hands. So I'm going to go with Chevy, who's been dominating.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with last year's winner. I'm going to go with Kyle Busch.
Okay. All right. Kyle Busch in the 8 car. I think it's interesting. I like it. Randall Burnett obviously put together a great car for that race last year with Tyler Reddick leading before he got taken out by Chase Briscoe.
How did Kyle Busch win that race? What happened? I forget.
There was a little contact.
A little bump and run.
Oh, jeez.
It was more than a bump and run.
It was way more than
crack.
Yeah, that was
bump and crack to let everyone pass you.
Oh man, that was Chase Briscoe.
I will remember the end of that race forever. That was insane.
Me too. That's my own personal Vietnam. All right, you're
Whitey here. I'll make a promise to you because it's coming up.
Yeah.
And all of my memories from last year are going to come back on my Snapchat. I won't send you the video live. I won't send you the live video.
No. Resend it. I want to be able to record it and post it to the Bumper Run Facebook page so people could relive it again because I think it is absolutely hysterical. I agree. You got to pick the hot hands. You got to go with Chevy. But again, we're only picking 3 times, so I'm going with someone I haven't picked yet. He performed.
No.
He performed at the dirt race really well the first year. I don't remember what he did last year, but I'm going with Daniel Suarez for the dirt race. Kind of a long shot.
It was either Kyle Busch or Daniel Suarez. It was one or the other. And like the whole Suarez being in the news with the penalty and all that, I kind of stayed away from him because of that. But that's a great pick, Whitey.
Yeah, someone tells me just a long shot, a guy you wouldn't expect, but I think he might be there. All right, Matt, you were nervous. One of us was going to pick your guys. So far, we haven't. So who are you going with for the Bristol dirt race?
So I feel like a team that was sitting, third in the draft and just praying to God the guy they wanted all along slid to them, and it happened for me. I swear to God, I thought you guys were going to take this guy. Ironically, I'm picking third. He's sitting third in the point standings currently. You guys said it. You got to take the hot hand. He had a bad fast car yesterday. He is a dirt guy. I am taking Christopher Bell.
Okay. I like it. I didn't even think about Bell, to be honest with you.
I did. I think just like last year, the dirt guys are going to get a little confident, a little pompous. They're going to be up front and they're going to get into some shit.
That's why I went with Daniel Suarez, to be honest with you, because like you think like, oh, the dirt guys are going to do well. And every year they kind of don't. Either they get caught up in someone else's mess or they just get stuck in the middle or something.
EJ last year, I'm like, he's going to be in the back. Like maybe everyone will wreck and he'll end up getting a decent finish out of it. That was my philosophy last year.
I'm excited though. I would be happy if any of our picks won. In fact, I'm just going to be happy to watch the race. I think it's going to be a damn good time.
I'm super excited. I'm not going to lie. Like, I love this Bristol dirt race. Like, we don't have enough buy-in from people, which is fine, to each their own. But I thoroughly enjoy the madness of it the past 2 years. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's entertaining.
And I'm not going to exaggerate here. It's a million times better to be there. You see all the heats, you see all the practice, you see them out there. You're in it, you're feeling it, and you're tasting the dirt. It's just
pantyhose
immersion. Oh yeah,
pantyhose. Knock the pantyhose, brother.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know, man. A lot of people dog on this race. I think it's just a good, fun time. Like, why not? Let's have some fun.
They dog on it because they did it to Bristol. That's the only reason they're dogging on it.
So I would love to have both my Bristol races back because Bristol is my favorite track. But like, just like Righty just said, like, it's a good time. It's entertainment. At the end of the day, like, we still have a winner. We still have all that. Like, it still ends up being good. Like, dude, last year was great racing. Like, is it sloppy? Yeah. Is it like you're not nice and neat race? Like, no, but like, it's different. And don't you want different? Like, our schedule is not getting stale. Like, at any time this year, it's different. It seems like week in and week out. And just have a positive attitude going into this race weekend, and I swear to God, you'll enjoy watching what you see.
I think we're going to get the best dirt race we've had so far.
I think so too.
I firmly believe that.
This is the third year. It looks like Sunday weather is going to be pretty decent down there. I already checked the weather. So I just think it's the third year. They know what they're doing at this point. They've gotten the right formula of clay, dirt, whatever this year. And I think we're going to see a really good race.
So do I. I hope we're talking about a great race on Eric. When are you coming home? Are you coming home on Monday or Tuesday when you're driving back?
We're driving back Monday.
Okay.
Tuesday we'll do the show.
We'll do a Tuesday show. That way Eric has time to recover, figure out his thoughts from the weekend, and we're not rushing anything. So here's your warning. We got a Tuesday show coming up. We're 7 races into the 2023 season, and we have 6 different winners. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Kyle Busch, William Byron, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, and Kyle Larson. Can Kyle Busch get his second win of the season and his second win on dirt? Can Daniel Suarez get his first win of the season? Or will Christopher Bell show his dirt prowess and finally win the Bristol dirt race? We will find out Sunday, 7 p.m. on Fox for the Food City dirt race, and we will break it all down for you right here on the Bump and Run podcast on Tuesday following Easter. For Matt the Statman Reilly, for Eric Daytona Ron, I'm Michael D. White saying have a good night.